Hey everyone, Decab13 here, and welcome back to some more Let's Play Fate Stay Night. Alright, starting up day 14 now. So, yeah. Almost done with the first route, I believe. Going on a date with Saber today, so that should be nice. Let's see what exactly Shirou has planned for this date. Oh, well, I'm trying to think. We came across a lot of information last time. Assassin apparently has already been dealt with. Caster died right before our eyes. We have a quote-unquote unknown archer. Of course, I don't fucking know who that is. And Lancer and Saber are the only three servants left. Although technically, Gil's not really a part of the war. I don't know how he factors into all this, but anyway, only two servants summoned by the Grail remain. That's Lancer and Saber. Anyhow, then, the next thing I know, it's morning. I sigh and turn off... Oh, hold on. You know, I started this from my place. Okay. I sigh and turn off the ringing alarm clock. Today, no matter what she says, Saber and I are going on a date. My first priority will be to take her to plenty of places, so she'll have a chance to enjoy herself. I've been trying to search my mind for the perfect spot for a date, but before I could come up with anything, my alarm went off. I turned the alarm clock on, just in case. As hard as I tried, I still couldn't think of anything last night, so I borrowed an alarm clock from Tosaka, figuring I might have to pull an all-nighter. Not that it's done any good. I sigh again. That's sort of a problem. I'm nervous enough, plus I didn't sleep, but I think the worst part is how shocked I am that after staying up all night to think about it, I couldn't come up with a single thing a girl might like. I'll just take her to cute shops. Well, I feel like there's a fundamental flaw in that plan, but I've already made up my mind. There's nothing else I can think of. What this all boils down to is that today is going to be a day packed with fun, and it'll go on until Saber says she's had enough.
では、イリアスフィールはまだ目を覚ましていないのですか？ええ、まだ眠ったままよ。あの様子なら目を覚ますのにもうしばらくかかりそうだけど、今日はそれが幸いしたわね。イリア、起きてればシローの後について回って邪魔してただろうし。そうですね。今までのようにシローに同行されてはたまらない。昨夜はああなってしまいましたが、今日からは本気で残るマスターを探すのです。シローにはイリアスフィールに構っている余裕はありません。ああ、そっちの邪魔じゃないんだけど、まあいいか。私が言っても仕方ないし、これはシローとセーバーの問題だし。
Tosaka laughs mischievously.
は？私とシローの問題ですか?
We finish breakfast and it seems like a good time to leave. Saber's ready to look for masters, but I'm determined to execute my plan as well. I just need to be a man and tell her.
そのことだけどな、セイバー。今日は隣町に出るから、支度があるなら今のうちに済ませておいてくれ。
マスター探しですか？それでしたら隣町ではなく郊外の方が確実だと思いますが。
そんなんじゃない。二人で遊びに行くんだから、郊外になんて言っても仕方がないだろう。
は？
Saber freezes. I try to ignore the sound of Tosaka trying and largely failing to control her laughter behind me. I will get her for that. Later.
シロー、それはどういう意味でしょうか？遊びに行くとはシローとリンではなく、その。
俺が行くんだから、ついてくるのはセイバー以外いないだろう。トサカはうちでイリアの面倒を見てもらうから関係ない。
何をバカな。私とシローが隣町を探索したところで成果は薄い。そのようなことをしても意味がない。 一体何をしようというのですか、あなたは。
Saber's pretty clearly frustrated. I kind of figured something like this would happen, but things are looking even bleaker than I thought since she clearly thinks we're going out to town to search for masters.
参った。ここまで行ってもわからないんだな、セイバーは。要するに、俺はデートしようって言ってるんだけど、どうかな。
I ignore Tosaka's stare as I speak to Saber. I'm not sure how much Saber understands.
そのような言い方ではわかりません。具体的な内容を提示してくれませんか、シロ。
She looks even more irritated. And suddenly, it's like a switch flips in my head. There's no sense beating around the bush here. It'd be best if I were just blunt with her.
シロ、街に出るというのなら従いますが、デートをしようとはどういうことなのか説明してください。いくらこの時代に慣れていると言っても、私にも知らない単語はあります。あまり専門的な略語は使わないでほしい。
別に専門的な単語じゃないぞ。知らないなら教えてやるけど、デートってのは女の子と遊びに行くって意味だ。
は？
Saber goes completely still.
女の子とは私のことを言っているのでしょうか。
She's dazed now, muttering. When I nod yes, Saber looks even more confused.
言葉の意味は分かりましたが、意図が全く分かりません。そんなことをする理由は何ですか？
I wasn't expecting this question. I mean, I know what the point of a date is, but now that I'm on the spot and Saber wants me to explain it to her face, well...
ああ、もうそんならしくない単語を使うから勘違いさせるのよ。デートなんて言わずに、もっと分かりやすい言葉で説明すればいいのに。いい？セイバー。デートってのはね、要するに合いびきのことなの。シローは遊びに行くって言うけど、つまるところ男の子が好きな女の子にアピールするチャンスってわけ。
Thanks, Ren. I cough loud. Tosaka may be right, but I am pretty confident that a date and a tryst are two very different things. But I don't think it's worth mentioning. From her reaction, it looks like Saber finally understands what a date is.
そういうことだ、セイバー。今日一日は戦わないで街に行く。そもそも昼間は人目につくから戦えないだろう。ならどう過ごしてもいいはずだ。
それはそうですが、しかしあまりに意味がありません。そのようなこと。
そんなことはないけど、別にそうでも構わないぞ。今日はセイバーのために使うって決めたんだから、俺のことは気にするな。とにかく今日は絶対に街に行く。こればっかりは何を言われても変えないからな、セイバー。
I look her straight in the eye. Saber ponders for a while, looking serious.
では、私が反対した場合でも、シローは一人で街に出ると。
ああ、絶対に行く。そうでなきゃ一晩考え抜いたのはバカみたいだ。
それでは私が付き添わないわけにはいきません。サーバントとしてマスターを一人にすることはできないのですから。
After taking a deep breath, Saber answers in her usual manner. Okay, that could have gone better, but at least I've managed to convince her to come out. I shouldn't sweat the small stuff at this point.
いってらっしゃい。お土産よろしくね。
As we step outside, I make a rude gesture at Tosaka since she made fun of me until the very end.
それで具体的にはこれからどうするのですか、シロー。
どうするって、とりあえず隣町に出る。交差点からバスが出てるからそれに乗っていこう。
The hilly path is unusually quiet. It's a little past 9 in the morning on a weekday, and the town is starting to come alive, but it must be a little early to be heading out somewhere. There's no one on the road. It's like we have the road to ourselves.
そういえば、学校を休むのに抵抗がなくなってるな。ここのところずっと家にこもってたし。
当然でしょう。シロはマスターなのですから、 おいそれと出歩く方がおかしいのです。
Saber's tone is sharp. Saber following behind me is nothing new, but it feels different today. I feel this immense pressure directed at me, and that's putting it mildly. I can tell Saber's going to be tough to handle. Get on the bus. It would have been stuffed with people about an hour ago, but there's only a handful of people using it now. The only people on the bus are old women with children, so it feels like we have the place to ourselves.
Saber, 一番後ろに座ろう。
I call out to Saber, who for some reason tries to sit at the front of the bus, and lead her to the wider seat at the back. Saber quietly looks out over the passing scenery. I steal a glance at her and realize how crazy I am for what I'm trying to do today. Taking the bus to a nearby town is an ordinary thing for me. But here, in this ordinary place, something extraordinary is happening. Or, well, I'm finding myself questioning whether I'm actually doing this whole date thing, and my mind starts spinning and whirling like some complex cube puzzle. Crap, I'm getting really nervous. It's kind of getting out of control. I take a deep breath to calm myself down so Saber won't notice. But then, and I know this is stupid, I take another look at Saber. My heart skips a beat. I hardly recognize Saber as she sits next to me. Or, well, it's less that I don't recognize her than it is that the situation itself is unrecognizable. It makes me realize that she is something else. She's different. I didn't realize it when we were at home. This ordinary, everyday life seems to me like it's becoming something entirely new and different just because Saber is here. Her golden blonde hair, her green eyes, those alone are enough to make her overwhelmingly beautiful. It hadn't really crossed my mind since I never had much to compare her to. I remember the first time I met Saber. I must have been avoiding her because I was too embarrassed to admit that I was admiring Saber. No matter what Saber says, to me, she's a girl before she's a swordsman. I didn't know how to react to her, and I didn't understand my feelings for her. I have to admit, I know I sound stupid. I've developed trust and affection for Saber past the point of no return, and now I've decided to go on a date with her. The order of events is all backwards. Now as I get off the bus, spelled wrong. Man, so many typos. What is the typo in the typos, dude? I finally realized what a big deal it is to go on a date with the girl I like. But that's okay. I can only give it my all, so I can't very well take it all back and cower in fear now. I calm myself and try to shake off my ridiculous apprehension. The bus crosses the bridge and drives towards the development area and its masses of tall buildings. I breathe out, almost whistling, and ready myself. The familiar bus announcement tells us that we've arrived at Shinto Station. It's only 9 in the morning, but the area around the station is already busy. Most of the shops don't open until around 10 o'clock, but cafes and smaller bookshops are starting to open up. There are already more people here than you'd expect in Miyama, even if it were a weekend. We get off the bus and Saber looks around the area, displeased. I don't blame her. She hasn't really agreed to the whole date thing, and everyone is staring at her now. I doubt she loves that. But this discomfort is bound to follow us around all day. The only cure for this I can think of is Saber enjoying herself so much she forgets all the awkwardness. I smack my fist into my hand and look over to Saber.
Saber, 初めに聞いておくけど、どこか行ってみたいところはあるか？せっかく来たんだから、今日ぐらいは好きなことをしてもいいだろう。
さあ、別にこれといって興味のある場所はありませんから。そもそも私にそのような選択をする知識はありません。
本当か？そりゃ参ったな。じゃあ本当にここからは出たとこ勝負なわけか。セイバーに行きたいところがなくて、こっちもどこに行っていいかわからないんじゃ前途多難だ。
まさかとは思うのですが、何の計画も立てていないのですか、シロ？
いや、少しはあるけど中身はガラガラ。とりあえず手当たり次第に店をはしごしよ
う。That's kinda hard too. I know some stores I'd enjoy, but I have no idea what girls like. Honestly, if I'd known this would happen to me someday, it'd have been smart to go out with a girl from class at least once.
まったく反論するわけではありませんが、シロはどうかしています。休憩を取ろうという考えはまだいい。ですが、その休憩すら明確な予定を立てていないとは何事ですか。
Crap, now Saber's in lecturing mode. This is the first time she's ever given me such an earful outside the dojo. She wasn't into this from the start, and I figured all the people staring at her wouldn't help, but I didn't realize it'd be this bad.
かねてからあなたの見積もりの甘さには一言したかったのです。あなたは周りのことは目に入っているくせに、どうも自身に対する扱いが存在です。結果、齟齬を埋めるためにあなた自身が対価を払わなくてはならなくなると聞いているのですか、シロ？
聞いてるよ。要するに今こうしているのが納得いかないんだろ、セイバー。まあ俺に連れ回されてもつまらないのは目に見えてるし、嫌がるのは当然だろうけど。
いえ、そういうことではなく、私は今はこのようなことをしている場合ではないと。
それも分かってるけど聞かない。俺は今日一日セイバーに付き合ってもらうって決めたんだ。こればっかりは何て言われようと曲げない。絶対だ。
I look straight at Saber. The only thing Saber can do is look back at me in shock.
ただ言いたいことがあるなら聞く。文句もあるだろうし、そういうのは今のうちに言っておいてくれ。その方がお互い気兼ねしなくて済む。セイバーが俺とデートするのが嫌だって言うんなら、別の方法だって考える。
いえ、何もそこまでする必要はないと言いますか。私はその。
It's odd seeing Saber at a loss for words.
なら文句はないんだな。じゃ行くぞ。セイバーにリクエストがないんだから、どこ行ったって怒るなよ。
Maybe we should go to an aquarium. I hear those are popular. That sounds good, so I grab Saber's hand.
シロ、文句はありませんが、何も手をつかむ必要はないのではありませんか。
いや、時間ももったいないし、少し走るからな。案内するからはぐれないようについてこい。
いえ、こんな状態ではその。
I start running without waiting for Saber's reply. I've been pretty clear with Saber, so no more being pathetic in front of her. For now, I just need to escort her to every place I can think of. Saber's hand in mine, I run through the crowd. Apparently, Saber's given up resisting, and she just follows obediently. It's a little before 10 o'clock. We have 2 hours until lunchtime, so I'm going to make the most of that and really knock Saber's socks off. Those 2 hours were like a storm. First, we tried a boutique I'd normally never go to. Then we tried our hand at bowling while I taught her the rules. I couldn't find the aquarium, but we fed birds at the park. We visited an interesting antique shop that ended up being a lot of fun, and I maintain that not going to the movie theater was the right choice. Anyway, I spent the whole time taking her places I figured a girl might like, and it was 2 hours of failure and defeat. However I tried to spin it, the day wasn't really shaping up to be a date. It felt more like a battle to the death in which the first person to give up loses. Wherever I took Saber, she acted exactly like she always has done. Once in a while, she'd fall so quiet I'd start to worry if she was truly angry. Her lack of reaction made it clear she was not having fun, which pushed me to try even harder each time. So I ran all around the city, desperate to make Saber smile, but noon came before I actually accomplished anything. And with Saber's reminder that it's lunchtime, I decided to take a short break. However...
なんだここ。
I can't help but blurt it out as we sit down.
昼食なら川沿いの喫茶店がおすすめよ。
That was the only advice Tosaka gave me last night. So I did as she suggested and picked this restaurant, but I never imagined it would be so pretentious. I take a look at the menu. Luckily, the menu has Japanese translations next to all its foreign text, so I can at least figure out what all the dishes are. The problem is that I've never even heard of any of these dishes, and the prices are outrageous.
火星かここは。何を頼んでいいのか全くわからないぞ。本気で。
I stare at the menu and growl.
シロ、ここには昼食をとるために立ち寄ったのではないのですか？
Saber looks and sounds a little concerned.
そうなんだが、いかんせん勝手が違うというか。
I look up, and what I see is Saber looking like a cornered rabbit.
セイバー？
落ち着かないのなら今だけでも屋敷に戻りましょう。シロが用意してくれるものの方が私は好みです。
ね、それは家に帰りたいってことか？
いえ、屋敷に帰りたいわけではなくですね。今日はひどく緊張したので普段より疲れてしまったのです。
本当か。そっか。ここで飯にして一息ついたらまた街を出歩こうと思ったんだけど、セイバーが疲れたんならしばらくここで休憩しようか。
まさかそのようなことはありません。疲れたというのは語弊がありました。正しくはですね。
Saber stops. Fortunately, I'm the one who hears the faint squeak from her stomach. Oh, she could have just told me she was hungry.
申し訳ありません。つまり昼食は早めにしてもらえると助かるということです。
了解。そうだな。面白みがないけど無難なところを頼んでみて、さっさと飯にありつこうか。
It should be easy if a light snack is all we need. I order two things that seem like lunch dishes and we quickly eat. While I'm drinking my after-meal coffee, I start thinking about what to do in the afternoon. What I learned this morning is that physical stuff like bowling is no good. Saber is extremely competitive. That in itself is good, but Saber's looks already draw enough attention, and when she gets like that, well, she stands out even more. After we finished a game, Saber got sulky because of all the attention she drew.
そんなわけで体を動かすのは避けると。なあセイバー、2度目になるけどどこか行きたいところってあるか？
私にですか？いえ、特にはありません。私ではわかりませんから、このままシロにお任せします。
Saber lifts her teacup as she speaks. She ordered black tea to have after her meal, and it seems she enjoys its flavor. I hardly serve black tea at home, and even if I did, it'd just be cheap tea bags. Saber must not have been satisfied with the drinks I've been serving at home, since it looks like she prefers black tea. Well, I should be more mindful about that starting tonight. Saber isn't doing much. She's just drinking her tea. She doesn't seem particularly happy, but she doesn't exactly look bored either. I guess she's just being Saber. As sunlight pours in through the window, Saber sits up straight, gracefully sipping from her teacup. It's the first time I've seen her do this, but it seems so natural, it's like I've seen it a million times before. I don't know why I'm thinking that. Saber, at least, as I know her, is always serious, only focused on wielding her sword, on fighting.
ああ、そうか。
It's only natural. I only think of her as the girl who takes up her sword. The moment she sets her sword aside, Saber is always calm and gentle. This scene doesn't feel new or unnatural to me because it's just her being who she is. No matter how skilled a swordsman she is, this is Saber just being normal. Or wielding her sword isn't what makes her exceptional. I once thought while I was dreaming that she was suited for fighting. I don't think I'm wrong there. No matter how great her sword skills are, no matter how many battlefields she's been on, as long as she was really herself, she couldn't have found the battlefield a comfortable place to be. That's why this is how it's supposed to be. Saber's not wielding a sword. She's just resting and unwinding. She belongs in this serene setting. Nothing changes in the afternoon. I take her to every shop I can think of, and Saber follows quietly. At least it's not as awkward as earlier in the morning. Either I'm getting used to the situation, or Saber's given up. She's still quiet, but the more I watch her, the more I notice she looks either angry or not angry, which is really confusing. Whenever I see Saber coming out of a store looking excited, I feel this sense of accomplishment. It really makes me happy. Then, after a careful consideration of what Saber might like, I'm not certain, but I determined this is the shop most likely to please Saber. Saber stands in front of the store, mouth agape. I'm not sure if her shoulders are trembling because she's angry or excited. I just can't tell.
Shirou, ここは
街で一番品揃えのいいぬいぐるみ屋だってさ。男子禁制らしいんで立ち寄ったことはなかっ
Men
たけど。
aren't allowed. Obviously, it's not that men aren't allowed in the store. It's just that most of the customer base are girls, so there's this unspoken rule about men not going inside. Besides, there are only girls in the store right now. Saber, with her beautiful blonde hair, is drawing attention, while I'm drawing glares for being a guy. They must all be trying to keep me out of their sanctuary. I can't agree more. Even I don't think guys should be in a store like this.
ま、せっかく来たんだから周りは気にせず見て回ろう。
Fuck,
そういえ
man.
ば好きな動物っているか？
その主に獅子やヒョウなどは愛らしいと思っているのですが、おかしいでしょうか。
I find myself turning away and fighting not to laugh. I'm not sure why Saber liking lions is strange.
シロ、今の行為は不自然です。何か言われのない怒りを覚えるのですが、私の気のせいでしょうか。
いや、悪い悪い。ライオンってのがあんまりにもセイバーらしかったんで、つい笑っちまった。
人の趣味を笑うのは良くないことです、シロ。それにライオンも悪くありません。
だからすまなかったって。お詫びにいいとこに連れてくから、それで機嫌を直してくれ。
I try to fight down my laughter and walk into the store. Let's see, looks like animal stuffed toys are over there. And it takes about an hour to get from one end of the store to the other. I watch in silence as Saber stares at the stuffed animals while I worry about the dozen or so sets of prying eyes staring at me from around the store. I've never been so exhausted in my life as I am today. The terrifying thing is that we've only made it through half of the store. Saber frequently is paralyzed. That is, she often stops and stares at a stuffed animal. Even after all this time, we're only halfway through the store. Saber seems very interested in the other half of the store, so I guess I'll just hang around while she does what she wants here.
シロ、どうしたのです、ため息をついて。歩き通して疲れてしまったとか。
ああ、ちょっと疲れた。こんな程度で音を上げるほどやわじゃないんだけどな。ここは特別だ。やっぱり慣れないことはするもんじゃないのか。
I heave a sigh. I don't mind people staring at us when we're just walking around, but I'm uncomfortable with it while we're in this girly shop. When you're mentally drained, the first part of your body that feels it is your legs.
そういうセイバーは大丈夫か？こういう店初めてだろ？疲れたんなら言ってくれ。
確かに私も落ち着きませんが、シロの方が居心地が悪そうです。ここだけではなく、先ほどの店もその前の店でもそうでした。まさかとは思うのですが、シロは自分で行きたくない場所を選んでいるのではないですか。
Suddenly, those words dispel all the worries and mental exhaustion I felt earlier.
そうだな。正直に言えば、あえて苦手なところを選んでるけど。
やはりどうかしています、シロ。慣れないと分かっていて、なぜこのような場所ばかり選ぶのです。それではあなたが。
いや、だって女の子にはこういう場所のが似合うだろう。遊びに行こうって連れ出したのは俺なんだから。 今日はセイバーの日なわけだし。
You know, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the episode, but the date on today is, what, February 14th? So it's very fitting he's taking her out for a date on Valentine's Day. I wonder if that'll come up at all. Probably not.
それに、そう居心地悪くないぞ。セイバーがいるから大丈夫。隣にこれだけ美人がいるんだから、妬まれることはあれ、場違いだって思われることもないし。
何をバカな。武装していなくても私はサーバントです。いかに非戦闘時だからといって私を女性扱いする必要はありません。普段通りサーバントとして扱ってください。
バカはそっちだ。普段通りも何も、セイバーは初めっから女の子じゃないか。別に今日だけ気を使ってるわけじゃないし、今日の俺っていつもと違うか。
She's bewildered. Saber's mouth hangs open as if she's only just now realizing this.
いえ、同じです。あなたはいつも通りのシローでした。
だろ？だから俺に気を使う必要なんてないぞ。ほら、それじゃ行こう。一番気に入ったものを買うんだから、あと半分も見ないとダメだろ。
I take Saber's hand. She offers no objection as I tug her along.
そうでした。初めからそうだったのに、今になって気がつくなんて。
She murmurs to herself, sounding dazed. The uncomfortable day passes by in a flurry. Saber never laughs, not once during the whole day, so neither do I. No part of the day was particularly memorable, but neither was there any painfully boring aspect. Basically, nothing significant happened. The way it went, maybe Saber would have been happy if we'd stayed in the dojo and trained together. But today wasn't all that bad either. Even if it didn't end up being all that exciting, I should be proud that I at least managed to take Saber around. After the war is over and once everything goes back to normal, I don't want to look back on all this and realize that all the time I spent with Saber was in combat. Even if this entire date was stupid, she needs to spend some time doing something other than fighting, or there's no point in her being here. So yeah, I should be proud of myself. The end is near. When everything is done and when there's no need to fight anymore, if Saber can look back on this moment, that's enough for me. We walk back home. Just as we're trying to get on the bus,
帰りは歩いて行きましょう。
Saber finally voices a preference. The winds are picking up. The brilliant sunset paints the bridge red. Saber notices something, stops, and looks over the bridge into the river. She's looking at a mountain of rubble. I say it's a mountain, but the pile isn't really that high. Steel frames and other things are piled up just a little below the water level. It's only slightly disturbing the flow of the river. I don't know what happened, but some boat probably sank, then pieces of it drifted here. I hear some of the neighboring residents have been complaining, trying to get rid of the pile since it's so unsightly.
なんだよ、セイバー。あれが気になったのか。
いえ、まだ残っていたのかと。あれの原因は私ですから。前回の戦いで水上戦を余儀なくされ、ここで砲具を使ってしまった。被害は川を干上がらせただけでしたが、運悪く停泊していた船を巻き込んでしまったのです。
はあ？巻き込んだって、まさかエクスカリバーにか。
そうなのですが、幸い乗客はいませんでしたし、被害も大きくなかったんです。川だって今では私だって反省しているのですから。
I should be more careful. When we use Excalibur, I need to be mindful to use it somewhere there's a lot of open space, like out here.
シロ、まだ怒っていますか？
いや、別に怒ってない。ただびっくりしただけだ。あとはまあ前回の名残って結構あるんだなって。中央公園のあれのに比べたら川の瓦礫なんて問題じゃないだろう。まあ 船の持ち主は災難だったとは思うが。
それはご安心を。船の持ち主には保険が下りたと桐次が言っていましたし、もともと緩衝材にするつもりで船を止めさせたのですから。船体を壁に見立てて砲具の威力を削いだのですね。
なんだ、じゃあ初めから承知で船を壊したってことか。
承知していたわけではありません。あれは桐次が私に黙って用意していたものです。そうですね、桐次には戦いの流れが読めていたのでしょう。船を用意する前もその後も一言も口にしなかったので気がつきませんでしたが。
And then Saber looks down at the river, probably thinking back to that earlier Holy Grail war. The surface of the water glitters with reflected sunlight. The wind coming from the river flutters Saber's hair. She's so beautiful.
セイバー、今日は楽しかったか？
I'm suddenly scared Saber's going to disappear, so I ask a question it's probably better not to voice.
はい。何か言いましたか、シロ？
言った。今日は楽しかったか聞いた。
I hold my breath. Saber looks a little confused.
そうですね。新鮮でないと言えば嘘になります。
She says it fondly, like she knows she'll never have another day like this. Which is exactly why I already knew her answer. The only thing left for me to do is nod in agreement, and then walk her home. At the least, things can still go back to normal if I leave it at that.
そうか。
I look at Saber and nod.
ならまた行こう。こんなの別に今回限りってわけじゃないんだから。
It's maybe a dangerous thing to say. Saber's expression hardens. I think she realizes what I'm trying to say. She looks directly at me and silently shakes her head. There will not be a second time. This happened today and that's where it will stay.
それはなぜ？
I know exactly what Saber's going to say. I know I won't be satisfied with her answer, but I ask anyway.
なぜも何もない。サーバントは戦うために存在するものです。今日のような行為は自らの存在を否定することになる。シローが休憩すべきだと判断したから従いましたが、もうこの先は体を休める必要はないでしょう。残る敵は少ない。シローが命じるなら今すぐにでもランサーを探し出したいほどですが。
She focuses on me, eyes blazing with her fighting spirit. Saber is saying that she can head into battle anytime if she is ordered to. And that really sets off my anger.
なんだよそれ。そんなに戦いたいのか、お前は。
当然でしょう。戦えば戦うほど聖杯に近づくのです。私にとって戦闘は何よりも優先すべきことです。
ああ、分かってる。だからおかしいんだ。前から言いたかったんだけどな。矛盾してるぞ、お前。セイバーは戦いが大事だって言う割に自分から戦いたいなんて思ってないだろう。他に手段がないからいやいや戦ってるに過ぎないんじゃないのか。
そんなことはありません。私は戦闘をためらわない。勝利するためならば手段は選ばないと言ったでしょう。
Yeah, she did say that. But that doesn't mean she likes fighting.
できる範囲でだろ。いいか、セイバー。単純に他のマスターを倒して聖杯を手に入れるっていうんならさ、ライダーみたいに人を襲って力を得ればいい。だけどセイバーはそれが嫌なんだろう。
それは
無関係な人間を巻き込みたくないんじゃない。いざ戦いになれば人は死ぬものだとお前はよく分かっている。そうだからこそお前は戦闘を最小限に抑えたがっていた。戦えば死者は出る。だから早く終わらせたいって。つまりさ、お前は。
Saber's eyes grow wide, like she's seen a ghost, but quickly narrow. She grits her teeth.
違います。私は戦いを怖がってなどいません。
そうだな。確かにお前は初めから怖がってなんていなかったと思う。 そんな個人の恐怖なんて王の使命とやらで塗りつぶされていたんだろうから。だけどそれでもお前は戦いを嫌ってる。お前は単に強くて戦いがうまかっただけだ。はっきり言うぞ、お前は戦いになんて向いていない。本当は剣を取ることさえ嫌だったはずだ。戦うことだけが目的だっていうのはお前自身がお前をごまかすための言い分に過ぎない。
On top of that, why didn't anyone around her, even herself, figure it out and just say something?
シロ、いくらあなたでもそれ以上の侮辱は許しません。
図星だから我慢できないんだろう。認めたら戦えなくなるからな。
I hear a grinding sound. Saber's glaring at me, trying to hold back her anger. I can't back down now. I know I'm right. I can't back down.
だからやめろよ。お前だってやめたがってるんだろ。剣なんて自分に向いてないって分かってるんだろう。ならやめてしまえばいい。サーバントなんてやめてもっと自分に向いたことをしろ。
It's not too late for her to try to find whatever real human happiness she's always wanted. And for that, I would...
バカなことを。私に戦う以外の選択肢などありません。この私は聖杯を手に入れるためだけのものです。王の誓いを守るためにこの身を差し出した。それ以外の自分の使い道など私に。
She's just an object seeking to obtain the Holy Grail. That's what ticked me off the most. Why does she talk like she's only trying to convince herself? Everyone around her took her at her word because she kept insisting on stuff like this.
バカ、そんなことあるか。道なんていくらでもある。お前はここにいるんだ。昔のお前とは違う。ならこれからは自分のために生きなきゃダメだ。間違っても聖杯を。
What I say next is what I hope for the most.
どうでもいい他人のためなんかには使うな。ここにいるならセイバーはここで幸せにならなきゃダメだ。
My ears pick up the sound of wind. Saber doesn't answer. She doesn't nod. She only looks straight in my eyes.
その言葉にはうなずけない。私はあなたに従うと契約した。だが心まで預けたわけではありません、マスター。
Saber speaks slowly and clearly.
王の誓いは破れない。私には王として果たさなければならない責務がある。アーサー王の目的は聖杯の入手です。それが叶おうとも私はアルトリアに戻ることはないでしょう。私の望みは初めから一つだけ。剣を手にした時からこの誓いは永遠に変わらないのですから。
なんでだよ。セイバーがやらなくちゃいけないことはそんなんじゃないだろう。そんな最後まで報われないなんて間違ってる。お前には聖杯なんて必要ない。それに
Besides, Saber's wish won't come true. What's already happened can't be changed.
セイバー、起きてしまったことをやり直すなんてできないんだ。いや、それはやってはいけないことだと思う。
いいえ、決してそんなことは。
なら言ってやる。たとえどんなにひどい結末だろうと、起きてしまったことを変えるなんてできない。できなかったからやり直しがしたいなんて、そんなのは子供のわがままと同じじゃないか。
We're at an impasse. Saber doesn't say anything more, and I don't have any more to say. The sound of the wind stops. Or rather, it pauses for a moment. An instant later, it picks back up, just as I feel the wind on my cheek.
シローなら分かってくれると思っていた。
It becomes a headwind.
今日一日無意に過ごし、言いたかったことはそれだけですか。
Her voice is cold. I hear only rejection in it.
思い上がらないでほしい。あなた程度の人間に私の何がわかるというのです。あなたに私に踏み入る権利などない。戦うなですか。私に守られなければならない未熟なマスターが何を。そのような世まい事を吐くのは一人で戦えるようになってからにしてください。まあそんなことは永遠にありえないでしょうが。
違う。世まい事って俺は。
ですから世まい事でしょう。自分のことを考えろですって。それは素人で同じではありませんか。
She's got you there.
あなたは自分の命が感情に入っていない。あなたは私が間違っていると言いますが、あなたの方こそ何かを自身より他人を優先するなど死者の考えだ。自身の命の重みも知らない大バカ者がよくもそんなことを言えたものです。
セイバー、お前
勘に触りましたか。ならいっそのこと契約を解除しても構いません。どうせあなたは聖杯を必要としていない。あとは私一人でマスターを破り聖杯を手に入れるだけですから。そんなに戦うのが嫌ならばあなたは遠くで隠れていればいいでしょう。
セイバー、お前それ本気で言ってるのか。
My voice trembles. My teeth are rattling. I'm angrier than I realized.
当然です。私の目的は聖杯だけ。それ以外のことなど余計だ。シロ、それはあなたも例外ではありません。
I struggle to breathe. I try to fight the blackness encroaching on my vision, try to get my heart beating again.
この分からせや。へい、そんなに戦いたいってんなら勝手にしろ。もう俺は知らないからな。
I can't keep my emotions under control. I yell out some sort of lame excuse, then turn and run. I run away from her. And for an instant, I think I see Saber just standing there, dumbfounded.
くそ
I just run. I don't know why I'm mad, only that I am. So I run in a fit of rage.
それ以外のことなど余計だ。シロ、それはあなたも。
I grit my teeth. Honestly, I'm getting dizzy just thinking back on what she said. I'm so unfocused I might run into a pole or something. Well, it would be easy if I could do that. If I was only angry at Saber, I should have taken it out on her like an idiot and just been done with it. But something else caused my fit of rage. I'm not mad at Saber. I'm so frustrated that I keep running and I don't allow myself to catch my breath because I know I'm a spineless good-for-nothing. Saber just stands there, gaping at me. I heard her faintly just as the wind changed directions.
シロなら分かってくれると思っていた。
くそ、そんなの分かるか、バカ。
I immediately regret my words and nearly trip. What did those words mean? They had sounded like parting words, but also like she'd been about to cry. Now that I think back, that was probably the only honest thing she'd said. She'd hung her head as she muttered that to me. Her voice was a mixture of expectation, disappointment, and pleading. Then, who was the betrayer and who was betrayed? I run into my room and slam the sliding door. I flop onto the floor, arms and legs splayed. I'm tired of standing. I just want to lie down and go right to sleep. But even when I lie down, my body's on fire. My heart feels like it's about to burst and my lungs are desperate to take in oxygen. I ran back here at full speed, not even pausing once, so I can't blame my body for the discomfort. I feel like I still haven't run enough, but my body is telling me to slow down. It takes a bit, but I manage to calm down. I take a deep breath, hold it, then release it. After my breathing calms down, there's just one thing left swirling in my head, and it's a simple question. What am I really angry about? It's not really something I need to think about. I was running because I know I'm helpless. I can't help Saber. It's so frustrating. I'm angry with myself. I can't do anything. I said I was going to make her smile. I decided to protect Saber, but I couldn't do anything, and that's making me so angry.
けどどうしろってんだ。セイバー自身が自分の幸せを求めていない限り、他人がどうこう言っても無駄だってのに。
That's why I tried to help Saber find happiness on her own. But she told me those efforts were futile, even called me an idiot.
自身の命の重みも知らない。大バカ者。
But what do I do with all that? I value my life, and I don't want to do anything to end it. And my life has nothing to do with Saber. Bringing my circumstances into this wasn't fair. No matter how stupid I am, I know for sure that Saber's wrong. But when she outright rejects me like that, there's not really anything I can do.
くそ。もう勝手にしろ。
I roll over to lay flat on my face. Now all I see is that tatami mat, so I might as well close my eyes and empty my mind. I don't care what happens to Saber. If the Holy Grail is so important, then she should just marry it. She's going to be this stubborn after I've told her this so many times. I should just stay out of it, or I'll end up getting burned. Actually, I might not get out of that mess with only a burn. I might actually get really hurt. I've already gotten hurt. This is worse than just getting burned. I met her, fought with her multiple times, and to survive, I saw into the depths of her heart in a moment of incredible intimacy. I remember her heat, the light deep inside her. I don't know why I'm remembering this right now. There's a faraway grassy field, memories of a girl left behind. The moment I think back to that beauty, nothing matters anymore. What Saber says doesn't matter.
何が戦うだけのものだ。それなら半端に弱い部分なんて見せるなって言うんだ。
Saber's just unfair. I don't know what exactly is unfair about her, but I know something is. Angry as I am, I can't hate her. The more I want to forget her, the harder it gets. It's all tangled up.
畜生。惚れた方が負けってこういうことか。
But I can't help it. I can't give up no matter how many times she tells me it's useless. I just have to see it through to the end.
シロなら分かってくれると思っていた。
I remember her face there on the verge of tears. Does that mean... will she make that face every time I do something like this?
それでもだ。どんなことになってもうなずくわけにはいかない。
I'm going to keep doing this, even if I'm wrong. If she's really important to me, I'll never apologize to her. I think I hear a sound. I'm not sure when the sun set, but the room's gone dark. The ticking of the clock is getting annoying.
ちょっといつまで寝ぼけてるのよ。いい加減起きてもらわないと困るんだけど。
Oh, there's Rin.
だから起きなさいって。もう10時過ぎよ。ご飯を食べさせろってイリアがうるさいんだから起きて相手をしてあげなさい。
She sounds upset. I snapped to full wakefulness.
10時過ぎ？
I jump up.
そう、正確には22時17分。夕飯の時間にしては論外ね。
Tosaka stands over me, looking annoyed.
そう、寝てた。すぐに行くから今で待っててくれ。
それはいいけど、シロ、セイバーは？
いや、ここにいないんなら道場か今じゃないのか。
シロ、私はセイバーがいないから聞いてるの。
Tosaka is serious, and I instantly realize what that means.
まさかあいつ帰ってきてないのか。
ちょっとシロ帰ってきてないってどういうことよ。
Tosaka runs out of the room after me. There's no time to explain. I ignore Tosaka's yelling behind me and I rush outside. The town is quiet. Just like yesterday, there is absolutely nobody around. I don't have the patience to think about how odd that is. Saber hasn't come home yet. I actually don't blame her. We had a huge argument. She said she was going to fight alone. Knowing her, she'd do it too. Saber's nowhere to be found. If I can't find her, that might mean she's actually fighting Lancer, the final servant, as we speak. But I head straight to one more place. The air near the river is cold. The night is chilly, and when I passed the park, it was so cold the entire place felt like it was covered in frost. My cheeks and ears sting with the cold, and my breath mists white. If it's that cold in the park, I can't imagine how absolutely freezing it's going to be on the bridge, with the wind blowing up from the river. There I see her. She's right where she'd been standing when I ran away. Saber leans on the rail and just gazes out over the water. Maybe she's following the sun, which is long since set. She's staring off into the distance, her eyes fixed on a red horizon that's long since vanished. And that's when I realize Saber is strong, but she's weak too. Her dignified appearance is just her way of trying to prove she can get by without anyone's help. But at the same time, she's so fragile she might slip through my fingers if I reach for her. She can't do things alone, but she'll probably keep that front up till the very end. So, just like me, she'd been staring up at the unreachable stars. All she does is look at the setting sun, as if it's all she knows how to do. I can't leave her alone. If our argument needs a loser, then it's unquestionably me. It's led me to swearing never to let her make that face again. I step out onto the bridge. Saber doesn't seem to hear my footsteps. I approach without a word and lean on the rail next to Saber.
Saber, 体冷えるぞ。
She jumps in surprise. Saber finally notices me.
シロ
She turns toward me.
何してんだよ、こんな時間まで。いつまでも帰ってこないから、遠坂が心配してたぞ。
そうですか。それは悪いことをした。
別にいいけどな。けど、なんだってこんなところにいたんだ、お前は。いや、まあ。
はい。ここにいたのは、まだ行き先が決まっていなかったからです。シロは勝手にしろと言ったでしょう。ですから勝手にしようと思ったのです。けれど何をするべきか、何をしたいのか、どこに行きたいのか思い浮かばず、ずっとどこに行くべきかを考えていました。
She sounds like a lost child. Saber doesn't look me in the eyes as she speaks. Maybe she feels guilty? Maybe she does after the fight we had. I can't blame her for thinking I must be angry.
申し訳ありません。リンには世話になったと伝えてください。ランサーを倒し、聖杯を手に入れたのなら、シローの元に戻ります。ですから、それまで。
Is she saying that she intended to wander around alone without anywhere to go home to? That idiot.
何言ってるんだ。お前が帰るところは俺んちだろ。飯だって布団だって、ちゃんとセイバーの分を用意してんだから。
ですが、シローはもう私のことなど知らないと。
そうだよ。セイバーが何考えてるか、俺にはわからない。
I say that, and then I take her hand.
シロー。
うちに帰るぞ。いくらサーバントだからってこんなに冷えたら風邪をひく。早く戻ってあったかいものでも食べよう。
ですが私は。
それと言っとくけど俺は謝らないからな。文句があるなら今のうちに言っとけよ。
I'm crude about it, but I try to avoid her gaze. She stares at me, confused. Saber looks like she wants to apologize, but I ignore her. Maybe that works in my favor. She doesn't say anything. She just follows me in silence, holding my hand. We head across the bridge and into the park. It's 11 o'clock. There's nobody in the park, but it's packed with plenty of decorations, like fountains and streetlights. I walk briskly. Saber's steps are sluggish. She stood on that bridge for more than 5 hours. She must be freezing and tired. When I tug on her hand, she occasionally stumbles, like she's about to fall down.
セイバー、もう少しゆっくり歩こうか。なんか調子が良くなさそうだし。
I turn toward her as I speak.
いえ、体はとても元気です。ただリンの言葉に踊らされるわけではありませんが、こうして手をつないでいると本当に合いびきのようだなと。
And just like that, my face turns bright hot red.
そうだな。その手離そうか。セイバーが迷惑だったらの話だけど。
いいえ、私もこうしている方がいいです。シロウの手は温かくて安心します。
And there our conversation ends. I resume heading home just to cover my embarrassment. Saber follows in silence. I'm not even sure how much farther it is to the house. A little embarrassed by the warmth of our clasped hands, we both leave the park. A lot's happened today. But if we're ending the day with warmth like this, hell, I'll change religions and thank that priest who, indirect as he may be, allowed this moment to happen. Of course, the second I think that...
どこに行く?
Oh, hey, Lancer.
勝手に人のものを持っていくな。
Oh no, that's Gil. Oops. We run into someone we never should have. Oh, no. The elation I'd felt vanishes and my mind goes blank. Goosebumps cover my body and I realize I've forgotten how to breathe.
シロウ。
Saber, standing behind me, probably feels the same. She grips my hand tightly in her own. The same way I feel a sense of impending death. Saber feels the inevitable despair.
待たせたな、セイバー。約束通り、こうして迎えに来てやったぞ。
じゃあ。
The man in gold. The unidentified heroic spirit who annihilated Castor's bone soldiers, and even took out Castor with barely any effort. Now that monster stands in front of us. He's so close. We're at exactly the right distance to begin slashing at each other any moment. Death looms right in front of us, even more than when we faced Berserker.
どうしたセイバー。俺がわざわざ出向いてやったのだ。いつまでも黙っているのは無礼であろう。それとも、俺のものになる前に少しばかり遊ぶつもりか？騎士王よ。
Archer stifles a laugh. He's not even looking at me. Saber's his only focus. He admires her like she's a piece of art. Saber's demeanor changes. She must have made up her mind. She's already determined the man in front of us is an enemy, while I've hardly moved a muscle.
シロウ、何としても衝撃だけは防ぎます。その隙にあなただけは離脱してください。それがどれほど困難かは分かっていますが、あのサーバント相手ではそれが精一杯なのです。
I can hear the apology in her voice for not being able to do more. Even someone as powerful as Saber can only block his first attack. My chances of getting away from this guy are slim at best. Saber is asking me to forgive her for what is about to happen. She probably knows there's no way for her to defeat the man in gold. I can't let her do that. This is different than when we fought Berserker. I know, though I don't have proof, that making Saber fight this servant can only end badly. Actually, I do have proof. I know from seeing his noble phantasm last night. Saber can't beat him right now. This is not a matter of her skills as a knight. That's not even the right way to look at this. No heroic spirit, so long as they remain a heroic spirit, can beat the man in gold.
違う。逃げるのはお前の方だ、セイバー。
シロー。
I cover Saber and face Archer.
ほう、そうか。マスターがいたのだったな。あまりのみすぼらしさゆえ、犬か何かだと思ったぞ。
He smiles cheerfully. He raises an arm and lazily snaps his fingers. I feel sick. I need to leave right now or I'm dead. There's no rhyme or reason. I just know instinctively that this guy will kill me for standing in front of him like this.
行け、セイバー。ここからなら境界が近い。あいつなら、あれが相手でもお前をかくまってくれるはずだ。
I push Saber away and start running, trying to escape the death I can only hope isn't inevitable. There's no plan here. I'm just going to risk it all and run straight at this guy. Then I'm going to project Saber's sword again, just like when we fought Berserker. I'm blown back. What just happened? The moment he snapped his fingers, something appeared right beside me. It's a giant hammer. It knocks me aside like a piece of trash and I slam hard into the ground. I can't move. My body is completely useless, like all my bones have turned to jelly. I've lost all sensation in my limbs. The pain is so dull I can't even tell if I'm still alive.
殺しはせん。今ここで貴様を潰せば、セイバーも消えてしまうからな。不本意ではあるが、聖杯を呼ぶまでは生かしておいてやろう。
Oops. The man laughs. I try to push myself up, but my body won't listen.
だが思い上がるなよ雑種。貴様なぞいなくともサーバントを存命させる方法はある。単に今の状態が最も手がかからぬだけだ。それ以上さえずるのなら殺すぞ。
And then my mind goes blank. He will kill me. If I make even a single move, he'll do just what he said he would. I can't possibly move after that kind of warning.
シロー。
Saber tries to run toward me.
どこに行く？邪魔者はいなくなったのだ。お前が向かうべきはそのようなクズではなかろう。
The man in gold won't allow it. He stands in front of me and waits for Saber to reach me. Saber stops and glares at him. The two stand about 10 meters apart. I don't know about Archer, but Saber can close that distance in a heartbeat.
その様子ではまだ俺に下る気はないようだな。理解に苦しむ。お前ほどの英霊ならば俺に選ばれることがどれほどの価値かわかろうに。
よまいごと英霊になろうと私は王だ。貴様の軍門になど下らぬ。
そうか。いかに王であろうとお前は女だ。主の前に頭を垂れ仕え尽くすが女の幸せであろう。だというのに何を拒む。まさか物もわからぬ小娘でもあるまいし、俺の女になるのは恐ろしいか。
貴様。
そう憤るな。俺は奪うだけではない。等しく喜びも与えよう。俺のものになるというのならば、文字通りこの世の全てを与えてやる。誇るがいい。お前にはそれだけの価値があると認めたのだ。
The man moves. He extends both arms and approaches Saber as if in a welcoming embrace.
そう。 守護者になどなることもなく、死にゆく運命に戻ることもない。もう一度だけ言うぞセイバー、このまま俺のものになれ。この世界で共に二度目の生を謳歌しようではないか。
断る。そのようなことに興味はないし、何より貴様と共に生きるなどまかり間違ってもありえません。
Saber looks straight at Archer as she speaks. She stands firm, not taking so much as a step back. His laughter suddenly stops. I'm not sure what he found so funny in the first place.
いいぞ、それでこそ俺の見込んだ女よ。はあ、この世に一つ程度は俺に従わぬ者がいなければな。よーし、では力ずくだ。聖杯を手に入れた後、その身に中身をぶちまけてやろう。喜べよセイバー。そうなればマスターなど不要となる。万能の器である聖杯、その力すべてを飲み干すのだからな。サーバントなどと人間の使い魔に甘んじることもなくなるだろう。
He's so damn smug. To that.
アーチャー、貴様の目的は何だ？
She must have realized that the only option is to fight him. And before she engages with the enemy, she wants to know why he does what he does.
目的か？さあ、何だったか。あいにくこの世の財は全て手に入れた身でな。望むものなどとうにない。
聖杯を求めてはいないというのか？
聖杯？ああ、不老不死か。そんなものは蛇にくれてやった。
Snake.
不老不死を蛇に譲った。
Saber freezes. What just happened? Saber subtly shakes her head to refute those words.
だがこの世界は面白いぞ。根本は変わらぬが、装飾もここまで来れば別物だ。これならば再びこの世で君臨するのも悪くない。そうだな、俺の目的といえばそんなところか。それを効率よく進めるというのであらば、聖杯の力も悪くはないな。
支配欲か。見下げ果てたな、アーチャー。そんなことのために聖杯を欲するとは。
欲するのではない。世の財は全て我のもの。自分のものを他人に使われるのが我慢ならんだけよ。お前とてその政権を人に使われては腹立たしいだろう。騎士王よ。
Pale mist shrouds Saber. Then in a flash, she's wearing her brilliant silver armor.
ほう。
He doesn't move a muscle. In the next instant, Saber dashes forward. In the space of a single breath, she rushes straight at the man and swings her invisible sword at him with deadly speed. Saber goes flying backwards. If Saber's armor materialized by magical energy, Archer's must be the same. In the brief space of their rapid exchange, the man in gold arms himself. Saber looks calmly at Archer as she readies her sword. Even as his eyes meet hers, his sneer remains.
よいぞ。歯向かうことを許す、セイバー。
The enemy happily announces the beginning of battle. A white light bursts in the air between them. Saber's sword, shrouded in a bolt of lightning, cleaves directly toward the Golden Knight. 1, 2, 3, 4 strikes. Each time Saber's sword strikes, blinding light flashes from the contact. Watching her repeated attacks is like staring at a strobe light. It's just like when I first saw Saber that night when she fought Lancer. Saber channels her excess magical energy into her sword and strikes with such speed and precision that she all but becomes a lightning bolt. clang of sword against armor echoes through the air. Archer hasn't even drawn his weapon yet. As Saber sword strikes at him, he barely manages to defend his head with both hands. He simply doesn't have the skill to block Saber's attacks. Saber's skill with the sword is vastly superior to his. On top of that, her sword is invisible. Even if Archer draws his weapon, he won't be able to defend against that invisible blade. It strikes his armor relentlessly. The sword hits the armor, chipping away at it and sending sparks showering in all directions. The only thing the man can do is ward Saber's blows from his face with his hands. This isn't a fight. It's a massacre. But, in spite of the fury of Saber's attacks, Archer's armor remains intact. If he's still unscathed even after such a savage assault, that golden armor must be his noble phantasm.
さすがにこれ以上はまずいか。相変わらず底なしの魔力よな。俺の鎧がきしみを上げるなど、そうあり得ることではないのだが。
Archer raises his arm, but not towards Saber. I have no idea what he's trying to do, but Archer just stretches his arm up into the empty night sky.
戯れは終わりだ。その身、ここで俺に捧げるがいい。
Am I hallucinating? Is this an illusion? He has something in his hand. It's a short sword shaped like a key. Saber plants both feet, unleashing a much more powerful attack against Archer. But Archer bats it aside with his dark red sword.
今のは復讐の呪詛を含んだ宝具か。
Saber puts some distance between herself and Archer, glaring at his sword. The enemy wielding such a weapon is a threat, no question. But it also means he's showing his hand. Whether his noble phantasm is armor or a sword, we'll be able to figure out how to deal with it as long as we can see it. Saber readjusts her stance. Archer's already set his armors at its limit. If Saber can go back on the offensive with the same fury as before, she should be able to cut through his armor. Even if he pulls out his noble phantasm now, the next blow will decide the match.
最後だ。前回つけられなかった決着をつけよう、アーチャー。
The sword in her hand is still invisible. She readies her sacred sword, still bound up in swirling wind, and faces her enemy. Saber seems to know what noble phantasm that is. She put that distance between them because she knows how to deal with it. She's readying herself to face Archer directly. Each of them wields a sword, and if their powers are equal, then it's a matter of the wielder's skill. And that should mean Saber will win.
よかろう。では来るがいい、セイバー。その剣に免じ、俺のすべてを見せてやる。
The man laughs.
ならば。
Saber charges without hesitation. Her sword will cleave through his armor. The very instant I think that.
ゲート・オブ・バビロン。
An invisible door opens behind the man. Saber jerks to one side. Archer holds something else in his hand now, not the black and red sword. It's an invisible sword, like Saber's. By the time Saber deflects it, Archer already has a different sword. His swords strike at her in a merciless rain of ice shards. Saber twists away to dodge, but the air around her becomes almost solid with flying blades. She's driven back as the blades close in on her from all sides. As the shards cling to Saber vanish, her enemy holds a deadly-looking weapon that resembles a Grim Reaper's scythe. Saber blocks the weapon, arcing for her neck with a gauntlet, but it's useless. The scythe shears through her gauntlet like it's made of tissue paper and begins to drain her magical energy. It's as if it's trying to pull out her bones rather than her blood or flesh. Saber stumbles, but she manages to keep it together. But her retreat takes on a different note. She's not distancing herself to prepare for her next attack. She's desperately fleeing from the enemy.
そんなバカな。
Saber glares at Archer as she passes magical energy through her numbed arm. A halo of hilts float around Archer. Those are the swords that slaughtered Castor. His noble phantasm. Now it's backing Saber into a corner. Even I, looking on from a distance, can't believe what I'm seeing. All those hilts floating behind him are definitely his noble phantasm. Not 10, not 20. I can't even see them all, but I can tell there's no end to them. They're all from different times and places. That servant has all the divine mysteries that have ever been mentioned in various legends and lore.
アーチャー、あなたは何者だ?
Saber's voice trembles. No servant would ever reveal their true name just because someone asks. But Archer's noble phantasm is so bizarre, Saber couldn't help but ask.
答えなさい、アーチャー。英霊が持つ宝具は一つだけのはず。いえ、中には複数の宝具を持っている者もいますが、だとしても2つが限度だ。そのように際限なく宝具を持つ英霊など存在するはずがない。
存在するはずがない？それは早計だな、セイバー。英霊は生前用いた武器を宝具とする。ならば単純な話ではないか。この宝具は全て俺が生前に集めたものということではないか。
私を侮っているのか、アーチャー。それこそ絶対にありえない。あなたが何者であろうと、他の英霊たちのシンボルたる宝具を揃えられるはずがない。そのような英霊はこの世界に存在しない。
Saber's right. All the noble phantasms he has are real. There are demonic swords from Northern Europe and even from South America. No hero ever made a name for themselves in so many regions. Besides, Lancers should be the only one with Gay Bolg. Heroic spirits have their favorite weapon they use during their life as their noble phantasm. Based on that rule, the only one who could have Gay Bolg is Cuchulainn. But Archer isn't Cuchulainn. And that means his spear can't be Gay Bolg. But the thing is, it definitely is the real Gay Bolg. If those noble phantasms were all fake, that would explain it. But they're real. So that's just... No. Wait. Could they all be originals? The weapons prototypes? It might be possible. Legend and myth don't spring up from nothing. Plenty of myths share commonalities because someone or something served as the model for them. Legends which get to the point of becoming the basis of worship usually only take root in the lands where they are said to take place. That's one of the reasons demonic swords and sacred swords reveal their true abilities in the lands they come from. So let's say there's something from before even that. What if various noble phantasms in mythology existed before they were known and named?
おお、お前のマスターも捨てたものではないな。どうやら俺の正体に心当たりがあるらしい。
Saber turns to face me. She's so far away. I can't help her from so far away. I've finally gotten to the point where I can move, even if it's still difficult.
逃げろ、セイバー。そいつと宝具は
本物だというのだろう。そう、単純な話だ、セイバー。最も古い時代、まだ世界が一つだった頃の話をしよう。その国は栄え、王はあらゆる財宝を収集した。集められぬものなどなく、足りぬものなどなかった。王は完璧な宝物庫を持ち、その中にある有象無象の武器は使われることなく王と共に眠りについた。要はそれだけの話だ。王の死後、宝物庫の中身は世界に散らばり、名剣であるがゆえに重宝され活躍し、いずれ宝具として扱われた。わかるか、騎士王よ。お前たちの扱う宝具とやらは、もともとはその王の持ち物に過ぎないのだ。
It's like an inheritance. As long as you trace an object's history, a base or prototype will always exist. It only makes sense that every legend, myth, or noble phantasm passed down in each country has an original. Far enough back into the past, if one person collected all those prototypes, they could possess every noble phantasm. And that could only be one hero. A hero from the oldest of legends, far older than the legend of King Arthur or Heracles. The tyrant who ruled ancient Mesopotamia. A king who was half god, half human, who collected all the world's treasures and who eventually sought eternal youth.
ギルガメッシュ、人類最後の英雄王。
Saber sounds like she's trying to keep the fear from her voice. Gilgamesh relishes her reaction.
いかにもこの身は貴様らでは叶うべくもない最強の英霊だ。
There's nothing else to discuss. All that's left now is for him to use his endless noble phantasms to annihilate his enemy.
ほう、我の名を知った上でまだ抗うか。今度こそ勝ち目がないと悟ったはずだが。
やってみなければわかりません。いかに英雄王といえど超えられるものがあるはずだ。
The air around Saber wavers. The wind envelops her as it picks up, becoming a whirlwind to protect her. As it does, her golden sword is revealed.
ダメだ、セイバー。
I don't believe this. Does Saber intend to use Excalibur? Gilgamesh stops. He must know how powerful Saber's sacred sword is because his self-assured composure falters. Saber glances toward me briefly, but her focus is on Gilgamesh now. Is she telling me to run away while I have the opportunity? Gilgamesh's back is to the river, while Saber is over here with me. This positioning must be the result of our shuffling around earlier. Before I realize what's happening, Saber is facing Gilgamesh, protecting me.
ダメだ、こんなところで。
I try to force myself to move, and with all the strength I can muster in my numbed body, all I can manage is lifting a single arm. I used every bit of magical energy in my body to use that arm to push myself up. I've lost all sensation, but every bone in my body creaks as I begin moving. The pain is a warning. My body is coming apart at the seams, and if I move, that'll be it. I push myself to my feet, ignoring the warning. I try to endure the pain. I don't have time for it. What I need to do is get to my feet as fast as I can and protect Saber. I have a really, really bad feeling about this. It's the same premonition I felt when I faced Gilgamesh myself. We can't beat him no matter what. My instincts keep telling me that I just can't let Saber fight him.
音に聞こえし正義か。いいだろう。
The swirling wind has become a raging vortex. Even in the face of that dazzling sword, Gilgamesh is unintimidated. On top of that,
では、こちらもふさわしいものを出さなければな。
he draws a strange sword from the gate behind him. I wonder if that's... Oh yeah, that's really not good. That's where my premonition came from. The sword he has now doesn't exist in any legend. I can identify every one of the noble phantasms floating behind him, but I have no idea about that sword.
俺は全ての宝具の原型を持つ。だがそれらは全て無名であり、俺しか持ち得ぬ武具というわけではない。
The sword itself is cylindrical. It consists of 3 segments, each rotating in different directions. It looks like a drill capable of piercing solid bedrock.
だがこれは違う。正真正銘、この英雄王しか持ち得ぬ剣だ。名などないのだ。俺はエアとだけ呼んでいる。
純粋に宝具の力比べをすると。
Light flashes off their weapons. The two of them are still about 10 meters apart. Gilgamesh can't possibly avoid her attacks from that distance.
そう。遠慮することはないぞ。最強と呼ばれるその剣。一度味わってみたくもあったからね。
His laughter echoes in the space between them. Saber must have taken that as a provocation.
いいだろう。ならば我が剣見事受け切ってみるがいい。
Saber moves. Her lips form the sword's true name. There's nowhere to run now. The noble phantasm released when its wielder speaks its name strikes mercilessly at Gilgamesh.
出番だ。起きるがいい。いや。
The cylindrical sword roars. In response to Gilgamesh's words, the three segments whirl faster. If Saber's Excalibur summons a whirlwind by driving wind away, Gilgamesh's Ea creates a gale by drawing in wind. But Saber is more experienced with handling her anti-fortress noble phantasm. It's faster than Ea. Saber pours as much magical energy as she possibly can into her weapon in seconds, igniting its massive power. She doesn't hesitate. Saber unleashes the might of a sacred sword so powerful it can split a river in two. At the same moment, a light of matching intensity flares to meet Excalibur's attack. The impact is tremendous. Raging winds tear trees from the ground. The colliding lights are like an exploding sun, blinding me. I'm on the verge of being carried off by the wind. I cling to the ground with my one functioning arm. It's all I can do to weather the storm of wind, light, and heat. How long will this go on? Their overwhelming attacks are so powerful I fear they might split the world in two. But then... it suddenly ends with Saber surrounded by white light. A crash breaks the unexpected silence. Something thuds into the ground beside me. I know what it is. Even half blind, I couldn't mistake what I'm seeing. She looks dead. She's a bloody mess. In the distance, the Golden Knight, completely unscathed, laughs like a madman.
人類最強の聖剣とやらもその程度か。人間の幻想など所詮子供魂よな。
His laughter rises so high it seems to soar up into the heavens. This must be hilarious to him. He's just smiling to himself, not even paying Saber any mind now that she's fallen.
Saber!
She doesn't answer. Blood spurts from her mouth as she tries to gasp. The world goes red. What was I doing? I knew this would happen. I knew Saber couldn't win against Gilgamesh, so why didn't I try to stop her, even if I had to use a command spell?
しかし味気ない。完全にこちらの圧勝か。相殺することもできぬとは拍子抜けだぞセイバー。ああそうか。少しは手加減してやるべきだった。何しろ相手は女子供だったのだ。
His smug voice is grating. This is my fault. I thought she could win. As bad a feeling as I had about this, I was sure Excalibur could win. I may have told her to stop, but my command spell didn't react. I obviously wasn't serious. If I'd been serious about protecting her, I could have used a command spell to make her escape, even if it was just her. There would have at least been options for me to fight on my own.
さて、ではいただくとするか。汚れてしまったが。何？いずれ同じ目に遭うのだ。 ここで傷つこうと問題はあるまいよ。
His voice draws closer. Saber must have come too. I see her eyes open.
セイバー、無事か。
I can see her breathing, yet I'm still far enough away that I can't reach her. She lays still, but I can't run to her. All I can do is call out to her.
セイバー、セイバー、セイバー。
Saber's mouth opens. She breathes in as if to ask for help, but even that is painful enough to send her into a coughing fit.
シロ、そこにいるのですか？
Her voice is weak, and the question makes clear she can't see me.
待ってろ、すぐに。
I can't very well say I'll help. I'm on the ground too, and I can only move one arm. I can't even offer words of encouragement. At least she can't see me in this pathetic state.
ああ、そうか。負けたのですね。私は。
She tilts her head towards me, her eyes lifeless.
申し訳ありません。どうかあなただけでも逃げてください、マスター。
Saber coughs up blood. Anger seizes me and I see red. I've been relying on Saber and this is the result. I took one hit and I can't even get up. I grab my head with one hand that still works. I could just about kill myself. I have every intention of crushing my head and so pour all the strength I can into my hand. The switch fails. Instead of using my finger, I imagine a hammer to press the switch to change myself into a mage.
二度と使わないようにね。投影はあんたの手に余るから。
I hear Tosaka's voice. She said that trying to do magecraft beyond your abilities will destroy the caster's nerves and magic circuits. So what? Saber's more important than any of that. If I can't protect her, I don't need my head anyway. She saved me so many times. I've never cared about someone the way I care about her. So, if I can't protect her, I'm better off dead. I hear the pounding of iron. The shattered bones of my body are being reinforced by magical energy. There's no holding back. I throw my switch open wide, ignoring my own limits. I generate as much magical energy as I can. My spine ignites and my entire body grows red hot. My brain feels like it's melting and I bite my tongue to endure it. My teeth sink into the fleshy muscle. If I have to bite a hole in my tongue to remain conscious, so be it.
何？
The footsteps stop. Gilgamesh's amused laughter stops with them.
シロ、何をしているのです。ダメだ。そんなことをしたら体が。
She must sense something, even without being able to see. Saber screams as she tries desperately to push herself up. Something in me snaps. I stand up. My body tries to ignore my orders, but it begins to move with the help of the surge of magical energy I pour into it. It's like being set on fire and instinctively running toward water in hopes of surviving. I don't care. It's better than seeing Saber like that. Oh, right. With my mind very nearly burning up, I finally realize. From the beginning, I vowed to wield my sword because I didn't want her to get hurt.
逃げてと言っているのに、どうして。
I stop the enemy from approaching. Saber's behind me on the ground. This is it. There's no way I can retreat now.
ドレス。
I restrain my panicking, burning body and focus my will. I need to imagine one single thing. I divide the projection into 8 sections and replicate the lost sword. There's something solid in my left hand. I don't even have to look. My second attempt at manufacturing the sword succeeds.
私の剣。いえ、そ それでもダメだ。シロも分かっているはずです。動けるのなら今は逃げるのだ。
逃げない。セイバーを迎えに来たんだ。なのに一人で帰ることなんてできるもんか。
I ready the sword. I hold it in both hands. It's so much heavier than the bamboo sword, and glare at Gilgamesh.
やめてシロ、この男はそんな。
I ignore Saber's words and take a step forward. There's about 4 meters between us. If I rush at him with all my might, maybe I can cut him down. He doesn't move. Gilgamesh watches me for a moment, then laughs.
殺すか。
His voice is utterly devoid of emotion. I instinctively block the attack that comes my way. I dodge the surprise attack by swaying sideways. Too slow. The first attack is a sudden gust, the barrage of attacks that follows is like a storm. Blocking is all I can do. Actually, I wouldn't have even been able to block the first attack on my own. Fortunately, when I reproduced the sword, I also reproduced its memory. A sword that's been in so many battles gains a will of its own after all that experience. This sword must have already mastered this particular dance. I can't follow Gilgamesh's attacks, but the sword seems to be able to. Before I move my arm, the sword is already reacting to Gilgamesh's attacks. I let the sword guide me and manage to parry Gilgamesh's fierce attack. It doesn't last long. Every time I swing the sword, my fingers go numb, and I find myself gradually lagging more and more behind the sword's guidance.
雑種。見苦しいにも程がある。
Gilgamesh must not be able to tolerate even the slightest bit of resistance from me. He glares hatefully at me as he backs up just the slightest bit. I'm saved. If he'd kept attacking, I wouldn't have lasted another second. I try to catch my breath. And then...
薄汚い偽物め。それほどそれが気に入ったのならば、本物を見せてやろう。
he draws a sword. It looks familiar. The decorations are different, though. The thought that went into making that sword, as well as its soul, are too similar to this sword.
まさかこの剣の原型。
そうだ。だが宝具としての精度は比べるまでもないぞ。お前が持つ王を選定する岩に刺さった剣は、北欧に伝わる支配を与える木に刺さった剣が流れたものだが、これはその原型。王を選定するという聖剣の大元だ。
Is he saying he's holding the original model for the sword in the Tree of Supremacy? The Norse hero Sigmund's demonic sword Graham.
子は親には勝てん。剣輪を続けるごとに劣化する複製は原型にはかなわぬということだ。
Light flares from the blade. The sword understands perfectly that this is the same attack which killed Berserker in a single strike. It must be protecting its owner. The sword in my hand moves towards the enemy's sword more fiercely, more powerfully than ever before. The noble phantasm is called Caliburn, the golden sword of a short victory, but it shatters instantly in the face of Merodach, the original sin. I hear something sliding along the ground. It's a faint rustling sound. Is the park's ground slippery? I roll across the ground like a bit of trash in the wind before finally coming to a stop.
シロ、シロ、シロ。
Her voice tells me I'm still alive.
なんだセイバー割と近くに。
I'm relieved to see that. I thought I'd been blown away, but it doesn't matter since Saber's here. And then, as long as I can stand up, I can run to her. I glance at my arm. It's red. My arm is covered in some sort of sticky red membrane, but there's no blood coming from it.
動くな。もういい。いいから動かないでくれ。シロ。
Saber's shouts reaching me as I lay there staring at my arm. It looks like my torso is what's hurt. That single attack. I'm pretty sure Gilgamesh's sword is what sent me flying. That at least explains why I'm injured. No wonder Saber's so upset. The only thing I can move is my right hand. My left hand doesn't move. I'm not even sure what happened to my left hand. I can't even breathe. A diagonal slash covers my torso, starting at my left shoulder. The slash runs all the way through my body, separating parts of me like mismatched building blocks. I look like a ginkgo leaf. I've been cut open from shoulder to hip. It's actually creepy I'm still alive right now. I don't think this miraculous survival is going to last long. I'm conscious right now, but my vision is already starting to narrow. Besides, even a tiny movement will send all my organs tumbling out of my torso. Maybe I really am dead, and my consciousness, or my ghost, or something, is just hanging around watching what's unfolding.
なんだ、見事に散らばったと思ったが存外にしぶといのだな。なるほど。生き汚さだけが雑種の取り柄というわけか。
He laughs. I'm grateful for it, honestly. The more horribly grating that laughter is, the harder my consciousness fights to cling to my physical body.
だがそこまでだ。貴様に獅子は似合わん。その女は俺がもらう。
More footsteps. This time he's going to take Saber for sure. I stand up. I pour all the strength I have left into my one good arm. I try to grip the ground with my sticky, slippery arm and lever myself upright, even as I'm on the verge of literally splitting apart. For a brief second, I see Saber's face. She's on the brink of tears. In that moment, I'm proud to know falling in love with her wasn't a mistake.
待て。まだ終わっていない。
I force myself up. Neither of my legs work. The magical energy that barely kept my body moving is gone. All that remains is my faint heartbeat and the throbbing of my organs trying desperately to continue functioning.
ほう、未練か。だろうな。あれはお前には過ぎた宝だ。その気持ちはわからんでもない。ならばこそ他の男の手に奪われるのは悔しかろう。
Too far. He goes too far. I can't listen to another second of his shit.
だから奪うとか奪われるとかセイバーを物みたいに。
I pour what energy I can into my right arm. It feels like it's made of lead. My body creaks and protests, but begins to obey. I push myself up to one knee.
言うこと。
I take a deep breath, trying to focus what strength I have left. Every time I move, I feel my organs shifting around as if with minds of their own.
なぜもう無理だとどうしてわからないのです。
Saber sounds like she's denouncing me. She's far away. In the distance, I can see her staring at me, sad and forlorn. I push everything from my mind to focus on making my body move. Saber's voice is just a distraction. Gilgamesh's laughter, the pathetic state my body's in, none of that is my biggest obstacle right now. Right now, it's Saber. Hearing her say that, seeing her look like that, it's almost enough to make me give up. Finally, I feel life flood into my knees. Now all I have to do is get to my feet.
いらない。あなたの助けなどいりません。敗北した以上 私はすでにあなたの剣ではないんです。このまま消えるのがサーバントとして当然の結末ではないですか。
It's Saber's voice. Damn. If you keep saying that, if you keep making this even harder, I'll get mad. Even at you.
ただやめてくださいシロ。それ以上はダメだ。本当に死んでしまう。こんなことであなたに死なれたら私は。
Ugh, I can't keep listening to this. She has no idea how I feel.
うるさい。いいから少しは黙ってろ。こういう時くらい頼っていいんだよ。お前は。
それは違うシロ。優先順位を間違えないでほしい。私の身などどうでもいい。そんなものよりあなたは自身の命を第一にするべきだ。
She's pleading with me. Knowing that I'm responsible for the agonized sound of her voice makes me want to give up right now. But
断れ。俺にはセイバー以上に欲しいものなんてない。
I can't allow myself to give in to her plea. Saber gapes at me. I'm not sure why, but I remember something. She once told me I was a fool who didn't know the value of my own life. I think she's right. For someone who can't help themselves to try to help someone else is a little presumptuous. They're really only doing it for their own happiness, while the person they're meant to be helping may not be so half as pleased. Someone's first priority should be themselves. The people who think like that are the ones who can be truly happy, and so they can share that happiness with other people as well.
俺は確かに自分の命を感情に入れてない。大バカだ。
I've been wrong about the most important thing in my life. From that day, the place in my heart where whatever is most important to me should have been was empty. But I'm grateful for that abnormality, because now that empty space is filled with the person I truly want to save.
けどな、セイバー。もし俺が自分の命が一番大事だったとしても変わらない。きっとそれ以上にセイバーは綺麗なんだ。お前に変わるものなんて俺の中には一つもない。
And then I realized it wasn't that I was sympathetic towards her. The girl in my dreams, that girl who fought and died alone, who I felt was never rewarded for all she did. I was in awe of her. I thought she was beautiful beyond words. The vivid image of her taking her sword and charging into battle, never looking back, was awe-inspiring.
そうだ。だから。
That's why I need to protect you, Saber. You were alone your entire life, so I have to make sure you're not swallowed up by the darkness in your last moments. Yep. Once this is all over, on the verge of your death, I hope you can go into your eternal slumber proud of what you did with your life. No more hesitation. My objective is clear.
ごめんな。俺セイバーが一番好きだ。だからあんな奴にお前は渡さない。
I regret the apology as soon as I give it, but I wanted to tell her. I wanted to tell her that now of all times, because the words could come straight from my heart. I sense her gasping. I want to turn around to see her face, but no. I can't really see anymore anyway. I stand up. As long as my heart is still beating, I can keep fighting. Magical energy is life. As long as it flows through me, I can create as many swords for her as she needs.
よく立った。で、その後は何があるのだ？
I feel a scorching heat in my right hand. Here on the brink of death, I'm reminded of what happened 10 years ago. It's a terrible illusion. I feel just like I did when I was in the fire, reaching a hand out and hoping to be saved.
うせろ。お前にセイバーは任せられない。
I say that as I raise my right hand.
たわけ、誰が貴様の許しを得るか。
Gilgamesh raises his sword.
シロ、シロ。
I hear Saber far behind me. I ignore her and use my remaining magical energy to protect his sword once more. The light stops me. A vortex of light rushes at me. It's not as strong as Excalibur, but it still burns away everything it touches. When the heat scorches my body, I don't think about my death. I think about Saber somewhere behind me. This will kill her as well as me. I at least need to protect her then. I said it's what I'd do. It's what I've always wanted to do. She's strong, but at the same time could break at any moment. She needs me. She's like a drawn sword, so to make sure she doesn't get hurt, I'll sheath her. And then, before I realize what's going on, there's a sword in my right hand. I'm not sure who said that, but there's a brief hesitation. At the same moment, the invincible knight in gold takes a step backward.
シロ、それを。
Saber takes my hand. The vortex of light fades. Saber is right beside me. Before me is Gilgamesh, eyes open and bleeding. Oh. I don't know what happened, but I realize it's just like the Berserker battle. Saber is using whatever I made and it destroyed Gilgamesh's gram. Two titanic beams of light collide before one overwhelms the other, and we manage to truly wound the man who, until now, had been completely unscathed. He radiates murderous intent. It's terrifying. In spite of that ferocious, murderous rage, the Golden Knight leaves without a word. But there's no time to be surprised. I have no idea why he just left. But even as I feel myself slipping into unconsciousness, I know the battle's over. My knees buckle. The tension that kept me upright fades and I collapse.
シロ。
Saber hurries forward and catches me. While I slip down onto my rear, supported by Saber, I look over my body. I can't help but cry out. My body is torn to pieces. I should have been killed the instant Gilgamesh laid me open from shoulder to hip. My healing power must be what's got me clinging to life, but even that has its limits. I'm practically split in two. I can't possibly recover from this. I'm not even sure if I'm breathing, and everything's starting to go dark. My end is near. The only good thing to come from this is that Saber is okay. My wounds are fatal, but it looks like Saber was just exhausted. She's disarmed, and her wounds are already healed. Even if I end up having to drop out of the war, I'm sure Tosaka can take care of the rest. I hear that sound again. That sound of creaking bones is coming from me. Curious, I look down at my wounds. I see myriad swords. Or I see what looks like tons of tiny blades converging, layering atop each other, trying to knit together my broken body. I feel faint. It looks like every muscle and bone in my body is made from swords. The next moment, they're gone. My body looks normal, and what I thought I saw a moment ago seems to have only been an illusion. As proof of that, my ruined flesh begins fusing together. My wounds closed right before my eyes. It's more like restoration than healing. Looking at it, I feel a surge of disgust rather than fascination. Looks like I'm going to make it. But this is just too...
よかった。この分なら死ぬことはなさそうですね、マスター。
I hear Saber's voice at my ear. She's, really close.
いや、それは助かるけど。俺の体、一体。
I want to ask what's going on with my body, but I'm suddenly overcome with dizziness. And then, my body is enveloped in a soft embrace.
Saber.
いいえ、私には分かりました。傷が癒されるのは当然です。
I can't stay awake. I produce too much magical energy. My worn-out mind just wants to sleep now. I don't know how strong it is, but Saber moves closer and wraps her arms around me. She embraces me tight.
やっと気づいた。シローは私の鞘だったのですね。
Her words penetrate deep into my tired mind. That sensation is so comforting, and the last of my remaining consciousness fades away. I finally realize I'm safe, and so I yield my body to sleep. Before sleep takes me, I find myself thinking with a little foolish sadness that this scene would be better if our positions were reversed. For the final time, I see that red hill once again. The red memory. I dive deeper into her memory and I realize I'm seeing it for the last time. It's a memory of a certain night that I have seen many times already. After becoming king and killing her will so that she could devote herself to the will of her nation, her days were now marked by the resentment of her trusted knights. Every time she won a battle, Artoria was made to fight more battles she didn't want. She continued to hide her sex, which heaped more suspicion onto her. All that awaited the isolated girl was rebellion at the hands of her own family. A young knight took over the nation while the king was away on an expedition. The knight's name was Mordred. The knight, son of Artoria's older sister Morgan, was in fact the king of knights' own son. Artoria was never able to have a child as a woman, but Mordred had her blood coursing through his veins. I'm not clear what happened to make this possible, but Artoria's older sister Morgan loathed her for becoming king. Mordred was created as a clone, and served the king without knowing who his father was. Mordred sought an opportunity to take the throne for himself, ultimately going so far as to organize a revolt. That revolt would end in what would later become known as the Battle of Camlan, the final battle and the end of King Arthur. King Arthur learned of Mordred's betrayal during her expedition and returned to her with her weary army to invade her own lands. She defeated many of the knights who used to serve her. She attacked the lands she once defended. What the fuck? Is that supposed to be like that? Is that a glitch or... Okay, that was fucking weird. The combat between the two of them ended in the king's victory. But the king was not unharmed. Mordred was bound by a powerful curse and swung his sword even after dying, inflicting a fatal wound on the king. And so that battle ended. It was the end of her, the king once known as the King of Knights. It must have been heart-wrenching. None of the battles she fought were painless. Every one of the 12 battles she fought was intense, but this final one was her greatest loss. She returned to her homeland only to have to destroy her own army. She was forced to punish the knights who once served her, and had to watch those knights who remained loyal to her die. And in the end, she had to kill her own son. I have no idea what was going through her head in that moment. But I had to pray. I had to pray for the lone knight who tried to remain king until the very end. I pray that this dream of her just before her death is the kind of dream a girl named Artoria would want to see. I opened my eyes. I don't know when I got back, but I'm in my room lying on my futon.
ああ、気がついたのですね、シロ。
セイバー、俺はどうして？
あれから今まで眠っていたのです。体の方はほぼ完治していますから、心配。
そうか。それはいいけど。
But what about Saber? She used Excalibur. She must be running low on magical energy since she probably healed herself too.
セイバー、ずっと俺の手当てを。
手当てと言っても汗を拭く程度です。私はリンのように人の傷を見ることはできませんから。
バカ、そんなことしなくていいんだ。今は俺よりセイバーの方が辛いだろう。
そのようなことはありません。シロに比べれば私は軽傷です。しかし今のは聞き捨てなりませんね。いくら傷が塞がったと言ってもシロは死んでもおかしくない傷だったのです。今は自分の体を案じてください。
Saber reaches for a basin of water that sits beside her. She draws a towel out of it and wrings it before wiping me off with the cool water. Honestly, what she does mostly just embarrasses me.
シロ、傷が痛むのですか？また熱が出てきたようですが。
熱なんか出てない。いや、そうじゃなくて。いいからセイバーも休んでくれ。今は元気かもしれないけど、エクスカリバーを使ったんだ。セイバーの方こそ休んでなくちゃダメじゃないか。そんなんじゃまた。
まあ、それはそうなのですが。今は私の方が元気ですから。マスターの傷が癒えるまで私が守るのは当然でしょう。
それはもっともな話だよな。
She's got me there. When she says it like that, I can't really do anything but agree.
分かったよ。俺もしっかりと休むから、セイバーもちゃんと休んでくれ。セイバーが休んでくれないと、俺も落ち着いて眠れない。
それはそうですね。私とて睡眠を取らねばならぬ身ですから。
Saber nods in agreement, then wrings the towel and hangs it over the edge of the basin. I do my best to swallow my embarrassment as I watch Saber tend to me.
それでは私も先に休ませていただきます。御身くれぐれもお大事に。シロ。
ああ。
おやすみなさい。言いそびれましたが礼を言います、シロ。あなたが助かって本当によかった。
There, under the moonlight, I see Saber smile. Her smile seems fragile, maybe because of the pale moonlight. Before I get a good look, the door closes. When Saber disappears into her room, I'm stricken by a sudden sense of relief. Or maybe loneliness. I regret not telling her to stay here and just take my futon while I use my arm as a pillow, but that would be too much for her. Besides, if we did that, it reminded me of that night. I shake off the image that works its way into my mind. Too many things have happened today. Feels like an entire week has gone by just today. My date with Saber was more challenging than fun. Then we got in an argument and I left, abandoning Saber. And then... No, I shouldn't think of that until I've completely recovered. Not only do we have to deal with Gilgamesh, but we also need to defeat Lancer and whoever his master is. We need to rest, recover, and regroup so we can be on our best, or else we don't have a chance at winning. This only happened a few hours ago. I think Saber said something about me being her Sheath. At the time, I couldn't ask what she meant. I was a wreck and near to passing out. I can't fall asleep. And Saber's dream, her face, resolute even on the brink of death, overlaps with the sight of Saber tending to me. Then I hear her voice saying, "Good night." The image of her frail profile, of her smile, is burned into my mind. It's not a smile I saw in any of my dreams of her life. She says it makes her happier when she sees me smile. That just drives me nuts. I'm not sad, just exasperated. I don't know why it annoys me so much. I actually find myself getting angry. I punch my futon. The desire to lash out in the face of this frustration just completely overwhelms me.
シロ、体の具合が悪いのですか?
A concerned voice drifts in from the other side of the closed door. My breathing is heavy, so she must think I'm having trouble sleeping.
いや、大丈夫。それよりも、まだセイバーは起きてるのか?
はい。ですが、本当にシロの方はよろしいのですか? まだ苦しいのでしたら、そちらに行きますが。
Maybe I should go over... No, that's even worse. All the pent-up feelings I've been barely holding back will come rushing to the forefront if I see Saber now.
セイバー、少しだけ話いいか?
はい。このままでよろしければ。
We start talking through the sliding door. Since I can't actually see her, I think back on that smile, the last expression I saw on her face. She looked so happy. And when I think of it, I find myself getting more frustrated rather than less. I don't know why I'm getting so... warm. But I still need to talk to Saber. I have to tell her that even if I don't have the right answer, she's still wrong. My voice trembles. My tongue feels heavy in my mouth. Once I say it, I won't be able to take it back. I'm fully aware of that.
もういい。いいから。お前は自分のために笑わないと。
Some unknown force just forces the words from me.
シロ、そんな、どうして?
There shouldn't even be a question. I'll just keep repeating myself until you realize it.
セイバー、もう十分なんじゃないのか。お前は頑張ったんだろう。一人で戦い抜いたんだろう。なら、セイバーが幸せにならないなんて嘘だ。お前は立派に誓いを果たした。なら、このままアルトリアに戻ってもいいはずだ。
何を言うかと思えば、まだそんなことを言うのですか、あなたは。
ああ、ずっと言い続ける。そんなの惚れちまったんだから仕方ないだろう。だからセイバーは、いや、お前はアルトリアに。
I suppressed the sudden urge of emotion. I'm on the verge of breaking down. If only Saber would just say something, even a single word.
シロ、私を困らせないでほしい。そのようなことを言われても、私は。
Her answer is unchanged. My heart aches from her determination.
シロは私の過去を知って、私の中に何度も入ってきた。私の答えなどあなたは知っているはずなのに、どうしてそこまで私に構うのです。私がどれほどの罪を重ねてきたのか、あなたは見てきたはずなのに。
Yeah, I have. Many people were sacrificed in the name of the king. Many enemies killed. I have no intention of pretending that didn't happen. Still, knowing this, I want Artoria to be happy.
それがどうした？この感情が何かは知らない。俺はただセイバーをこのままにしておけないだけだ。セイバーは笑ってくれ。俺はもっとずっとセイバーと一緒にいたい。
It's such a childish confession of love. I wait for her answer as the silence stretches out between us. What Saber might be doing, or how she might be reacting behind that closed door, I have no idea. Are my words even getting through to her?
私の答えは変わりません。王の誓いは破れない。ふさわしくなかったとはいえ、私は王として国を任せられた。その責務を果たせなかったと な自由は許されない。
Her voice is so sad I can't stand it any longer. I don't want to hear the solitary oath Artoria took when she became king. I already know it. All this frustration wasn't just so I could hear her lamentations. I kick at the futon covers. The only thing between me and Saber is the sliding door leading to her room.
シロ、
The door slides softly as I open it. My mind goes blank. What was I so angry about? Why was I so sad? Before me I see trembling eyes on the verge of tears. I see a slender neck, and shoulders so thin they seem in danger of snapping in the breeze. And I see her golden hair, splashed with moonlight just like when we first met. Without even thinking, I'm embracing her. I hold her so tight I might break her. It's different from that night. I didn't feel like this back then. This may sound ridiculous, even though I was aspiring to be a champion of justice. I never fell in love. There was someone I couldn't let go of.
Saber.
It's like she might disappear if I don't hold her tightly enough. I'm not sure how long I hold her, but I relax my embrace after reminding myself that no, she won't disappear.
シロ、突然に何を。これは一体どういうことですか。こんなことをされても私は。
She moves slightly in my arms. Her lips tremble. She's about to say something I don't want to hear. So I place my lips over hers to silence her. She trembles in my arms. I'm looking at Saber, but I'm not seeing anything. But my sense of touch has grown so much more sensitive now. I can feel the softness of Saber's lips. Our lips part. Saber places a hand on my chest and pushes me away gently.
シロ、今の口づけは。
She wants to say it was a mistake. Saber looks at me on the verge of tears.
間違いなんかじゃない。何度だって言うぞ。セイバーが好きで、このまま話すことなんてできない。それが嫌なら言ってくれ。俺とはマスターとサーバントの関係に過ぎないと断言して否定してくれていい。
卑怯な。そのようなことを口にしろというのですか。
あ、セイバーがはっきり言わない限りもう我慢しないからな。セイバーが拒まないんなら俺はやりたいようにやるだけだ。
Even if it could only make her forget her vow to be king for a moment. Neither of us says anything for what feels like a long time. I keep holding Saber, feeling her soft, slender body. She's still tense, unsure of herself. All I can hear is our breathing and our hearts beating. How many times did our hearts beat against each other? She pushes a little harder on my chest.
あなたの気持ちには応えられない。あなたがその正しさを変えられないように、私にも変えられないものがある。できるのは、せめて許されるとしたら、それは。
The pause makes my heart ache. She bites her lip, trembling as if confessing that what we did that night was not permitted. And yet, her body offers no resistance, and the hesitation in her eyes tells me something. Just one night. She's telling me of a hope she feels cannot be fulfilled. She wants to stay like this until the night ends.
セイバー、俺は。
I lift my hand, trying to embrace her. Saber takes hold of it.
宝具を使いましたから。シロから力をもらわないと私は戦えません。
Her hushed voice, asking for permission, falls silent. have no words. That line of reasoning is so transparent. But it's the best she could do to ask her for her wish to come true.
ああ、そうだったな。けど、ちゃんと動いてるのか、あれ。
はい。今でもシローからの供給は続いています。ですから回復するためにはこうして。
Our bodies have to be close. It's all we can do. This is as close as we can be, because she's still bound by her oath. I can't break that oath. Saber moves in my arms. I don't know what to do with the heat of her pressed against me. Holding Saber's slender body in my arms makes my heart beat faster. And I'm ashamed of myself for getting agitated. Saber's cheeks practically glow red. She looks so embarrassed.
ですのでシロ、お願いです。今晩は共にあなたと眠らせてください。ケンとサヤは共にあればその力を取り戻しやすい。それにあの儀式と同じようにより心身を近づければ。
I nod silently. I'm much happier than I am embarrassed. I get to spend the night with Saber in my arms. Our bodies may not touch more than they are now, but we can be more intimate in our hearts.
よかった。ではシロ、今夜は私が支度をしますので先に部屋に戻っていただけませんか。
Saber stands up. I can't bear to let her go, but we can't stay like this forever. So I head back through the sliding door to my room. I turn back to look at Saber before I slide the door shut. It feels like I'm doing something wrong though, so I close the door quickly. I don't know why, but I find myself sitting on top of my futon. My mind won't slow down. It's practically doing somersaults just at the thought of sleeping with Saber. This is for her, to help her, to grant one small wish of hers. If I keep on granting these small wishes for her, it'll add up, and maybe Saber will learn how to smile. But the war is nearing its end. I don't know how much time we have left to keep doing this.
失礼します。シロ。
The sliding door opens. I shake away the depressing thoughts circling my head and look to Saber. I turn and look up at her. She's... I quietly gulp. She's a figure of pure white in the darkness. Seeing her, all that restless worry I feel melts away. She's just too beautiful. My heart is unclouded now.
おかしいでしょうか。この格好は。
いや、そんなことない。ただ眩しくて困ったんだ、きっと。
I mutter something unintelligible about how difficult it makes things when a girl's too pretty. Even if I explain it to Saber, she wouldn't understand. But my mind's practically shorted out.
そちらに行ってもよろしいですか、シロ。
ああ、うん。
For the first time, I realize she has beautiful, perfect toes. While Saber walks across the tatami mat floor to get close, I get off the futon and pull the blanket back for her. I realize I'm one pillow short for the two of us to sleep together, but it's too late. Saber and I sit side by side next to the futon. One room, one futon, but Saber's with me. I shouldn't be having any impure thoughts, but my face feels like it's on fire. I can't even look at Saber.
お先にどうぞ、シロ。
いや、セイバーこそ先に。
Well, we're not going to get anywhere like this. So I hurry into the futon and make room for Saber. I thought I would give her the pillow, but she gently pushes it back to me.
これはシロに。私はその腕を枕にさせてください。
Her words, barely a whisper, make my heart skip a beat. Saber is surprisingly calm as she nestles into my arms. It's like she's settled in herself more than I am holding her. blade in its sheath. I remember Saber's words. Saber's about to drift off, pillowed on my arm like a sword in its sheath. Her warm, soft scent so close in calms rather than excites me. Saber's hand reaches for my hand. I take it inside the blanket and I entwine my fingers with hers. And we drift off to sleep in silence. But before that,
Saber.
I call out to her as she lays beside me. I want to ask her at the end. I want to hear again why I desire her so much.
感じますか、シロ。これなら朝までには魔力の補充ができる。これで明日からあなたのサーバントとして戦えます。
セイバー。
今はそれだけです、シロ。私の役割はあなたの身を守りきり、聖杯を手にすることだけです。
それは
そうでしょう、シロ。この戦いを終わらせるために戦うと決めたのだから。
I can't argue that point. If we want to solve our problem, we first need to end this war. To start, I won't be able to protect Saber unless I defeat the man who's after her. But is there really a way for us to defeat the King of Heroes? While the two of us lie quiet, we look out into the tranquil darkness. I don't know how much time passes. My eyelids grow heavy. My body cries out for rest. But our entwined fingers stay warm.
セイバー。
はい。考えるのは明日にしましょう、シロ。明日になればヨーヤンが浮かぶかもしれませんし。それに
She just wants to sleep together like this. She holds my hand gently as she says so.
そうだな。俺もそうしたかった。
おやすみなさい、シロ。目を覚ましたらまたいつもの私たちに戻りましょう。
I lean my face close to hers and close my eyes. The last thing I see is Saber smiling warmly. I don't care if that moment of vulnerability was only for tonight. The hand holding mine right now is so warm. It's more than enough for me, and I fall into a satisfied sleep. Aww. The end of battle. Once everything is over, I'm not sure I can keep holding this hand. And then silence settles in. Oh, that was really sweet. Oh man. Oh boy. Man. What else do I say to that other than, oh, that was so sweet. Man. I'm gonna be really sad in the next episode, huh, when we end this route off. Oh boy. I'll have to gird myself for that one, huh? Alright, well, in the next episode, that should be the last day for this route, our first route. I'm looking forward to wrapping up our first one here, and then moving on to the next one. But yeah, tomorrow we finish all this off, so I will see you all then. Bye.